Hey everybody, let's talk about Land of Mine, or if it was translated literally into English from its original Danish title, Under the Sand, is a German-Danish co-production, a historical drama that is inspired by real events that took place as a part of the aftermath of the Second World War, when it is believed that about 2,000 surrendered German soldiers were kept as prisoners of war and ordered by Allied forces to dig up, to disarm, and to remove almost about 2 million mines in total with their bare hands that were planted on the coast of Denmark by the Germans themselves during the war. Allegedly, as many as almost half of them either died or were seriously injured, and many of them being young boys, teenagers basically. They were the last ones sent to war by Hitler as a desperate attempt at keeping this horrible conflict going. And the film is about one such unit comprised of 14 boys and their ruthless and merciless sergeant. The film is set up by a very good scene in which we are introduced to Sergeant Karl Rasmussen and his utter hatred and distaste for all Germans. In the scene, he is overseeing the departure of a group of Germans, and one of the soldiers is carrying a Danish flag. And when he notices him, he just goes over there and just knocks the shit out of him. The film really wants us to comprehend that this guy has no sympathy for these young soldiers whatsoever. But on the other hand, however, the film somewhat gives itself away with this scene because, for anyone who has seen, I don't know, at least like 5 movies in his life, it is made pretty clear that our sergeant probably will eventually lighten up and soften towards these boys, and really, like, anyone with at least like an ounce of humanity left in them is able to realize that these boys are innocent. Sure, they were soldiers of the Third Reich, but it is not like they had a choice. They were sent to war, but they're not Nazis. They don't know anything about anything. They're just a bunch of kids who want nothing more than to go back home. He eventually does soften, but every now and then when the boys either make a mistake or it appears that they got too used to being treated more humanely and start letting loose a little bit too much, he returns to his bullying ways, and you do hate him for just the horrible way he is treating these boys, but at the same time you do understand that he is doing his job basically, and his reasons are very much based in reality, and that's why I think it is undoubtable that he truly is the main character of the film. The film starts and ends with him. He has his arc. He does end up being left with a new sense of the type of person he really is, or that the type of person he wants to be, and the secondary characters, which are mostly comprised of these boys, while some of them are more fleshed out, while others are left more in the background, they are definitely not left behind, and some of them have their own arcs as well. One character's arc ends up influencing another character's arc, especially when considering Sebastian, who is the natural leader of the group. He is the most vital part. He is basically like the glue holding this unit together because he is the strongest one, he is the most pointful and most mature one. He is the one the sergeant occasionally pulls over and whispers to him like, hey, I really shouldn't be saying this to you because I don't want all of you to get your hopes up just yet, but if everything goes well, then you might be going home sooner than you realize. There's Helmut, a character I really resonated with. He is the most cowardly of the group. He is actually the one who suffers the most. Everyone is treated horribly by the sergeant, but I think he is truly the one who gets the short end of the stick here. He is actually the one who actually thinks about trying to escape, which is not a good idea, and you really feel for him. You really want him to pull himself together, to change his mind and to see this through. And then we have Ernst and Werner, who are 2 twin brothers who are always by each other's side, who are always backing each other up, who are always looking out for each other. Basically, they are the type of brothers who, like, one cannot function without the other, and their story or their arc is by far the most touching part of the film. I'm really not going to pretend that this film is trying to reinvent the wheel or anything, because it is definitely not, but this is the sort of film that while I was watching it, from beginning to end, I felt this very strange lump in my throat. I felt that reading just became more difficult. I felt that there were certain moments I was actually noticing I was holding my breath. And man, that's an effect that almost, like, movies almost never have on me. That's how good this film is as a drama. And it really got me thinking about Einstein's famous quote that only 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, but he is not sure about the former. And of course that's very true. But I think he really forgot, like, 2 essential elements out of that equation, and one of them is human suffering, which unfortunately for some people is never ending, but also kindness. And this is the sort of film that after watching it, I wanted to, like, punch a hole in the wall, But at the same time, I also wanted to hug someone, because I was left with just an ounce of hope, and the hope that no matter how utterly shitty this world gets, there is still hope in the fact that until there are still human beings left on this earth, kindness and decency will never fade. And those were the emotions this film left me with, and I loved it. I think it's incredibly well made. I think it's the acting is phenomenal from all fronts, and it might not be a perfect movie, and it's not something, like I said, that reinvents the wheel, and it's not some big masterpiece, but it is a film that will stay with you for many days after you watch it. It's still staying with me, and I've seen it, I think, 3 days ago or something like that. Definitely recommend it. Definitely. And what I want to ask you guys is, what are your favorite films that deal with the aftermath of the Second World War, or maybe even the First World War? But just know that films that take place during the wars don't count. Only films that take place after them and that directly deal with the consequences and the aftermath of those conflicts. I know probably Judgment at Nuremberg is a popular choice, and if that's your favorite, then that'd be that. Or if you have any others, don't forget to leave your answers down below in the comments. If you like this review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can see you later with other reviews. Until then, folks, stay cool, stay awesome, goodbye.